This week, we take a look at the Woods class projects,
students going into trades,
and students attending the ice walkout. All that and more on the Warrior Weekly. Good morning, Warriors, and welcome to this week's edition of the Warrior Weekly, presented by Warrior Student Media. I'm Jonathan Carlson.
And I'm Aubrey Mendez. This week, we take a look at the number of exciting events and stories at MCHS.
First, we take a look on how the construction class is working 9 to 5 while making the new spring play set pieces.
That's the sound of our school's construction class making a difference once again. Currently, they are working on the new theater set pieces for this year's spring play 9 to 5. As the construction crew files in the theater, they spend their class time building up the walls to the set. Construction teacher Mr. Roman talks about the process of how his class is accomplishing this challenge.
This is the first time that we've actually been able to build the set. It's an all-class project. It's my 5th and 6th period construction students. But once we get to the site where we're building on the stage there, I break them into different groups and they work together in small groups to do different tasks. Then we all come together and put it together as one project.
It's more than just slapping some walls up. You have to talk about the aesthetics that are needed, the time period. We kept this one relatively simple just because it was the first time we've done it. But you can imagine in the set you could have staircases, balconies, all sorts of things that could complicate the process.
Even though this seems like a big challenge, the construction class has put in the effort to finish the sets before the painting process.
The process of building the set's taken about 3 weeks roughly. The painting aspect of it, Elena Mahacek is working with another group of students that are going to take care of that.
While painting seems like a hard task, the theater's construction chief expands how she's making this year's set all hands on deck.
I am the construction chief, which means I am in charge of all the communication between the Woods room, the director, and then also all of the kids in construction. We take care of all building of all the sets, the set pieces, not the walls, because our construction class is building those this year, and then we're painting everything. This year it should only be about a week or so that it's going to take to paint.
Projects like these give students a feeling of purpose, reason, and help with self-esteem while being involved in the school's community.
It gets them involved in their school community as well, and gives them a sense of pride in what's going on in their building.
We've had faculty or staff members who have done it in the past, and we thought, why not take advantage of students who are learning to do this?
I think the fact that we're making something for the theater is really cool. It's something that I don't think we've done yet before, so I think it's really neat.
We've had a lot of fun doing it, so I'm hoping that this is something we can continue to do in the future.
If you're curious about the new set pieces, come see MCHS's theater production of 9 to 5. Reporting for the Warrior Weekly, we are Rose Winkenbach, Cameron Mitchell, and Aubrey Mendez.
Next, we dive deeper into the process on student pathway into committing to the trades.
Building houses, repairing cars, and planning layouts. College are turning blue with the student body at MCHS. The trades are becoming a very favorable next step option after high school. Student career counselor Mr. Menke goes into depth with all the different trades options that students can take and expresses the importance of core classes for these fields.
A lot of students will just kind of lump trades-based jobs into the trades, and it's usually later in high school when they'll start parsing out and looking at individual ones. We have several electives here that can really help students prepare for those fields. Construction, woods, autos, manufacturing, of course, engineering in some ways. I would also encourage students to make sure that they're not discounting core area skills. There's a lot of math that can be involved in trades-based jobs. I'm not saying you're doing calculus every day, but you do have to have the basics down. There's always going to be a need for trades-based jobs, and I have a high respect for folks who consider that pathway.
Next, engineering teacher Mr. Michlinghoff gives insight on how he values soft skills within the trades industry and how he teaches students the fundamental job resume skills needed for a career in any future trade endeavor.
I think one of the things that we do a lot of is we talk about the soft skills of industry, and so we talk about how to build a resume, how to not just write a resume but actually build it. Like what are the things that you're doing outside of the classroom? I think it's people that are set themselves apart as doers. Like if kinesthetic learners that have to be moving, very often they're visual spatial skill learners, where they're trying to visualize, do, use their hands, all about what they're doing when they come in, and then when they graduate out of the program in 3 years, they're supposed to be in a spot where they're making informed decisions about what they want to do for the rest of their life.
Finally, senior Gavin LaRose states why the trades are enticing and why he wants to pursue them.
I think it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I like being outside, and I'm just good at it. It's just like any other job, except it's less school, less money. You have to pay it less time. You get in the field quicker. The only thing is, it's just much more difficult physically than some other jobs that you might be finding yourself doing. The hands-on stuff is fun. A lot of the technical things they can get pretty difficult, but once you get comfortable with it, it's not too overwhelming.
Have you ever considered a career in the trades? If so, speak to Mr. Menke to diagnose the next step option after high school. Reporting for the Warrior Weekly, we are Aiden Hirsch, Hunter Lechner, Cole Tapia, and Lucas Decker.
Next is weather. How's the weather looking, Izzy?
Hi Warriors, I'm Izzy Townsend, back with another weather report. It's looking a little warmer this week. On Tuesday we've got a high of 52, but it's going to be a little windy. And then on Wednesday we've got a high of 55 degrees, but it's going to be partly cloudy, so hopefully we'll see some sun. On Thursday it's going to be partly cloudy again, but a little chillier with a high of 40 degrees. And then on Friday again partly cloudy, but with a high of 38 degrees. And on Saturday, no sun on Saturday. It's going to be a little cloudy, but with a high of 40 degrees. Thanks for watching my weather report.
Next, let's pass the ball to Fee and Sid for sports.
Thank you, Aubrey. We are Fionn Curtain and Sydney Boswell here for this week's sports report.
On Tuesday, the varsity boys basketball team lost to the Cary Grove Trojans at home.
On Friday, they lost to the Crystal Lake South Gators at home for their final home game of the season.
Not only was it the final game, it was also senior night, where the boys basketball team got to celebrate their 7 seniors, cheerleading got to celebrate their 8 seniors, and dance got to celebrate their 3 seniors.
Boys wrestling sent junior Ryan Johnston to state this past weekend.
And girls wrestling is sending senior Natalie Corona to state this weekend.
And don't forget, if you're interested in a spring sport, tryouts begin next week.
That's all for this week's sports report. Back to you, Jonathan.
Lastly, Warrior Student Media investigates the students' involvement in the ICE walkout at MCHS. MCHS to downtown, chants rang out across McHenry as students walked out of the school in protest against ICE and the Trump administration. At the beginning of 6th period last Friday, students organized a use of their First Amendment rights. As a part of a student-led organization, the walkout was brought together by a student at MCHS who will remain anonymous for their safety. They aspire to spread a message to their peers.
I feel like us as teenagers, it takes a lot for kids to realize how bad the situation is. There's obviously people like grown-ups doxing kids, and I think that's really immature of them. The original plan was to walk out to the front of the school and then walk to Veterans Park, just to Veterans Park. I am extremely thankful and extremely proud of the people who actually use their voice and speak out, because it's showing that we're not afraid of consequences or anything, because this is so much bigger than an after-school detention or just a lunch detention. It's actual people getting deported and families getting ripped apart. So it's really admirable, the people that are doing this and using their voices.
Protesters who attended the walkout are curious about the importance of their rights.
It's important because it's a public school, because this is technically a government facility, a government-owned facility, and mostly ran. I think that's important to exercise the First Amendment rights because, to be quite frank, by the way that the Trump administration's acting, we might not have them for very much longer.
Some people who didn't participate in the walkout but still support the message speak on the supposed hypocrisy of the school's attendance system.
That if people communicated with their teachers and they know that their right's okay and that the school shouldn't be stopping it, considering that it's not, it was never an issue when other people skipped, you know what I mean?
Students seem to have found their voice, and so can you. Reporting for the Warrior Weekly, we are Jonathan Carlson, Dylan Olshansky, AJ Rogers, and Cody Bramall. That's all for this week's episode. Be sure to follow the Warrior Weekly on all social media platforms, including X, Insta, and TikTok.
For Jonathan and all of Warrior Student Media, I'm Aubrey Mendez. Have a great week, Warriors, and thank you for watching.